Hello everyone, this is Big Boss Calvin 83. So this is obviously going to be the topic of the video. Where's the outrage when Caucasian men all over America continue to kill police? Where is the conservative outrage? And I was thinking about doing this anyway, off the top of my head as a talking head video. But since this article popped up, and I'm going to do it through here. And obviously, once again, the media has proved my fucking point. Where's Blue Lives Matter at? And to the American media, Fox News, NBC, what have you, all these Caucasian-owned news outlets and media, why aren't you talking about this? If it was a man of color, of what y'all like to call a black man, and y'all like to demonize black people, y'all like to call us black, especially the so-called black man, y'all have a field day with this. But since it's because it's a Caucasian man, y'all silent. And this goes to show you white privilege right here. And don't give me no rebuttal. Well, you know, even if the Caucasian men do kill police, they're in jail. But the thing is, they're still alive, and they still get slaps on the wrist, even if they kill their own. This is a prime example of white on white crime, that I call it. So like I said, and like we're all saying, people who are awake on social media, they're America. Or should I say AmeriKKKa, free case, don't get it twisted. King. White men all over America continue to kill police. Where's conservatives? Where's the conservative outrage? Hardly a day goes by where someone doesn't express outrage to me over how the Black Lives Matter movement is getting getting cops killed. This, of course, is a lie. Black Lives Matter hasn't gotten a single cop killed, which is true. Deeper than that, though, is the fact that Caucasian men all over America continue to kill police with very little outrage. Back in May, I wrote how fatal police shootings had indeed escalated in 2016, but that 71% of the police who had shot and killed 71% of the people who had shot and killed police officers were actually Caucasian. He says white, but I say Caucasian, because I refuse to call these pale skin monkeys white. Because the reason for that, to those who are new to my channel, the reason why I don't say white or black or yellow, because when it comes to white is not a race, and black is not a race. You know, think about it. The meaning of white means good, angelic, celestial, purity, innocent, positive things. Black means everything negative in a nutshell. Meanings, something of evil. Basically, that's the definition of black. I'm really not going to really go too much into it, because I really want to finish this article. But the way the dictionary, and if you just look up your own definition, if you just pick up a dictionary or look it up online, you'll see what I'm talking about. White is everything positive, angelic, celestial, pure. Black is the total opposite. Black is everything demonic, everything evil, everything negative. And that was given by the Europeans to call so-called African people that. That's why I say, when I call these Neanderthal people, these pale skinned people, these pale skinned Neanderthals, Caucasian, that's an ethnicity. And besides, white don't have his own language. Okay, Europeans, the correct term would be European or Caucasian, whatever you want to use. Black, black don't have his own language and the culture and all that shit. That's why I say African, because whatever diaspora it is, it has his own language, his own culture, own identity. Okay, that just want to just clear that up. And I'll read this, and I'll read this again, so y'all get it. Back in May, I wrote how fatal police shootings had indeed escalated in 2016, but that 71% of people who had shot and killed police officers were actually white. That trend continues. Tennessee officer Kenny Moats, a 32-year-old father of 3, was ambushed and shot to death in August by Brian Keith Stallings, a Caucasian man. Stallings, who was the subject of a domestic violence call, crept up behind a police barricade and allegedly shot Moats repeatedly with his .45 caliber handgun. It was a vicious murder, but guess who was being blamed for the death of Officer Moat? One man, and one man alone. The man who shot him. He's a thug. But nobody calls him a fucking thug. That's how it should be. King, white men killed most cops in 2016, conservative silence. New Mexico officer Jose Chavez pulled over James Nelson and Jesse Haynes, both who are Caucasian, before Haynes allegedly shot and killed Chavez. Haynes was wanted in Ohio for another murder. Chavez was a 33-year-old father of 2 who was just nationalized as an American citizen in 2011. He was a few classes short of earning his bachelor's degrees in criminal justice from New Mexico State University. He was one of the good guys and true American success story. Here he is, Dad. He's my computer's going slow. Now he's a thug. Haynes is clearly a terrible human being, but we haven't heard anything about his father or family or how they raised him. It's generally accepted he's a bad guy and did what bad guys do, and nobody's even hinting that and holding anyone other than Haynes responsible for his own actions. In August, Billy Monroe Jones shot and killed Deputy Bill Cooper. He also shot I'm back. In August, Billy Moore Jones shot and killed Deputy Bill Cooper. He also shot the local police chief of police, Darrell Spells, excuse me, who survived the gunshot to his head. Monroe Jones is Caucasian. Some outlets covered the shootings the day they happened, but that was about it. This man did a terrible thing. Dude seems to be an all-around bad person, but he alone is paying the price for his awful mistakes. When these Caucasian men shot and killed police officers, the Republican Party or Fox News wasn't blamed. Caucasian people in general are not blamed for their fellow Caucasian men shot and killed police officers. But somehow, when a man of color shoots a police officer, it's cast a wider suspicion. That suspicion is not just unfair and unwarranted, but it's also racist, and it is. Furthermore, it is patently insecure to express a heightened sense of outrage disguised as love of law enforcement when a so-called black man kills an officer, but not when a Caucasian man does the same thing. If your outrage and concern over the death of police officer is particularly limited to when a black man kills a police officer, that probably means you hate black people, and that's the fucking truth. America has too many guns. We are the only nation in the entire world that has more guns than people, and that's the problem. And that's a problem in a nation with over 300 million residents. That's the real problem. Actually, as long as we have many guns in circulation, we have tens of thousands of people.
Alright, come on, it's game time. Let's do this. This is gonna be good. Look at that handle. That's what I'm talking about.
I don't know what the hell. America has too many. I'll just repeat myself since I got interrupted so rudely by that fucking commercial. America has too many guns, and we're the only nation in the entire world that has more guns than people. And that's the problem in a nation with over 300 million residents. That's a real problem. Actually, as long as we have that many guns in circulation, we have tens of thousands of people who get killed by them, and some of them are undoubtedly to be police officers. This is unfortunate, but it has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter and everything that has to do with this nation refusing to face its most challenging problem. And that's the end. And what I'm going to just say is, when you have people like Scott Michael Green who shot those officers, and it was just due to the fact that he couldn't have his way. He wanted to harass so-called black folks and antagonize them and provoke them with the Confederate flag, knowing how racist and hateful that is, and that flag represents everything of our oppression of oppression, suffering and pain and suffering and slavery, and us being victims of Caucasian supremacy. He knows that, but he continued to provoke and antagonize. And when someone took his flag away, which I'm glad they did, he got mad. I don't know who called the police. I don't remember who called the police, but the police came and removed him from the high school game. I don't know if it was a football game or it was a game. Removed him from the high school game. And I think it was a football game. I'm not sure. And so he got mad and had a temper tantrum like these motherfuckers do. Like most of these spoiled AmeriKKKa Caucasian boys do. They just want to just shoot up stuff when they don't get their way, or you took away their fucking privilege, their white privilege. And now, as I look through the article, and you know what? Let me just show you something. What kills me is they're rationalizing this thug's actions, this cop killer's actions, Scott Michael Green's. That's what I'm talking about.
It's with these people, man.
Shut up.
Lemonade.
And he's talking, and they're rationalizing his behavior, and I wouldn't be surprised if he had mental issues. Bullshit. That's another code for white privilege, especially white male privilege. Whenever a Caucasian person loses it and doesn't get their way, and they kill people, become serial killers, rapists, thieves, whatever the fuck, they always bring up how much of a hard childhood, bad fucking childhood he had, how he was abused, how he had mental issues, how he was picked on, bullied, and everybody gets bullied, everybody gets mistreated. But my thing is, let's be real, he's fucking Caucasian. How hard was his fucking life? Did he go through, would he want to trade places with a person of color, a non-Caucasian person? Life, and dealing with racial oppression, discrimination, racial profile, and hate, and being stereotyped out in society because of the color of his skin. Most likely he had the advantages of, like every other American Caucasian male had. Didn't have to worry about certain things. I don't care if he's rich or poor, straight or gay. I mean, there's what you guys have. Caucasian people have advantages that people of color do not fucking have in this nation. We don't own shit and we don't control shit. Speaking of people of color, they have connections, they have networks. We as people of color do not have that kind of shit. We don't stick together like they do. And I want to just read this. Des Moines, Iowa. An Iowa man charged Thursday with the fatal shooting 2 police officers in ambush-style attacks is under intense financial pressure and had been ordered to move out of his mother's home, or basement, correction, just hours before the slayings. Scott Michael Green, 46, was arrested Thursday afternoon after detectives questioned him in Des Moines police station. Green was secured with handcuffs belonging to the patrolmen who were killed. Des Moines Sergeant Anthony Bemo and Urbandale Officer Justin Martin, and was transported to the county jail. Green was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. If convicted, he will receive an automatic sentence of life in prison without parole. A statement from Des Moines police said the investigation has produced a probable cause to support charges but didn't elaborate. Police said earlier Thursday that the search dog recovered a high-powered rifle in a wooded area that they believe Green used to fire on the officers. Green had been hospitalized for treatment, pre-existing medical conditions following his surrendered Wednesday morning. He left the hospital. What the fuck does his medical condition have to do with him being a fucking thug? I digress. The court documents show Green, an unemployed father who lived in the Des Moines suburb of Urbandale, was increasingly desperate for money in recent weeks. What does that got to do with him being a fucking thug? Like a question. The district judge, Karis Skemmel, however you say it, ruled Tuesday that Green had committed elder abuse against his 66-year-old mother, Patricia Green, by physically hitting and financially exploiting her. She ordered him to move out of his mother's home, where he had been living in a basement before November 6th, to stay away from the home for a year. Patricia Green had applied for a restraining order on October 19th, 2 days after she was arrested and charged with striking her son in the face during an altercation that he had recorded with his cell phone. She wrote in the application that she believed her son set me up in trouble. Patricia Green wrote while she was in jail. Scott Green told one of her friends that Patricia Green needed to give him $20,000, and that if his mother paid, he would move out and not bother her again. Patricia Green also wrote that her son had sent a bunch of rambling, offensive text messages, warned that he would no longer take care of her cat, and was going through her personal belongings. She said her son had subjected her to mental, emotional, financial abuse. A temporary protective order was issued October 20th, 2016. Schemmel issued the permanent order during Tuesday's hearing, where it was served on Scott Green. The order, which warned that many violations would lead to his arrest, also directed Green return $10,000 to his mother and to not take any of her assets. Benmino, 38, and Martin, 24, were shot after 1 a.m. Wednesday while sitting in their patrol cars in separate incidents less than 2 miles apart. Several bullets were fired in the vehicles. The 223 caliber rifle believed to be used was discovered Wednesday by a dog with the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, Explosives, apparently hidden in a wooded area. There's no person probably could have found it, said Des Moines police spokesman Sergeant Paul Persick. Persick became emotional Thursday during a news conference where he thanked the community for its outpouring support and said the officers represent the security blanket you give guys sleep every night. He said a motive for the shootings remained unclear. Yes, there was a motive. He couldn't have his fucking way. See how they give cover to these motherfuckers? Green was hired last month to work at a Central Iowa Fencing, a small construction business in suburban Des Moines. He quit within days, a manager said Thursday. Green was pretty desperate for a job and told the company that he had a teenage daughter he needed to support. Officer manager said Nekin said Green intentionally contracted the company looking for work last summer, but there was no openings. The company gave Green a chance after he inquired again last month, even though he had no experience building fences. Nicholin said. She said Green was sent home on the morning of his third day of employment because where was I? Third day of employment because he was not taking directions and wasn't working. Nicholin said the company gave Green the chance to come back the day on a different crew, but he chose not to show up and quit instead. He just didn't like the work, Nicholin said. Green posted a video on YouTube last week of a cell phone recording showing a worker driving a truck. Green wrote below the video that he was fired by Central Iowa Fencing after reporting unsafe driving. Nicholin said she hasn't seen the video but denied that Green was fired. She said investigators have contracted the business, which was about 20 workers. We wish we never would have we wish we wouldn't have. We wish we never would have contact with this person, she said. We're all devastated. And as you see, the media now they're trying to show sympathy for these Caucasian male thugs. That's why I call them. When it comes to when Caucasian males, mostly criminals, and Caucasian male or females, but specifically Caucasian male thugs, do dirty acts, heinous crimes, commit these heinous crimes. The media always say they had mental issues, they had a rough childhood, and they had poor experiences in life, bad experiences in life, yada yada yada. But when let me touch on that later. However, it's a double standard. They're giving this guy sympathy for being a cop killer, being a fucking killer, being a fucking criminal. But when we have so-called black criminals, particularly so-called black men who are criminals or accused of being criminals, everybody, the society goes through our history, how we were at our homes. They don't know shit about what we went through in our households, and living and growing up in our living environments in the household, or how we were at school, our legal past, our employment history. But when Caucasian people commit heinous crimes, do crimes, period, we don't see that. We see them, they try to angelicanize them, make them angelic, and like they are a victim of having a bad hand. And it's not fucking right. This is just blatant racism by the fucking media. Like I said earlier, where are the blue lives matter at? Where is all lives matter? How come when he was killed those cops, how come they arrested him? How come cops didn't kill him? When we had that brother, and I don't know what in the South, I think it was in Texas, in Dallas, when he shot those cops out of because he had a post-traumatic stress disorder. They didn't have no sympathy for the dude, and because of the fact he was fed up with the racism and how cops are killing innocent so-called black men, but black folks, period. Oh, they demonized the fuck out of him. They called him a terrorist. They called him a thug. All these negative, derogatory labels. But when Caucasians do the same thing, commit heinous acts and shit like that, commit these evil crimes, y'all don't demonize them. Y'all have sympathy for them, and y'all give them a fucking pass. That's what I mean by white privilege. you know. And white privilege is fucking real, you know. And it's like, y'all know, how come the media ain't blaming All Lives Matter? How come the media ain't blaming the KKK, all these other Caucasian supremacist organizations for this guy's behavior right here? How come when they arrested Scott Michael Green and those other guys that I showed you in the other article, how come everybody ain't chatting Blue Lives Matter and Police Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, ain't saying, oh, thank you for taking these thugs off the street? Oh, but when so-called black people are accused of certain things, whether we're innocent or guilty, right or wrong, y'all, there's always praise for the police. When they kill people of color, there's fucking praise. But when Caucasians kill another Caucasian person, cop kills a Caucasian person, oh, nobody says nothing. Everybody shows sympathy and saying how wrong the cop was. Or when a Caucasian civilian kills a cop, oh, y'all make excuses for the motherfucker. So bottom line is, as long as they're killing niggers, it's okay. But when they kill crackers, or I should say, pale skin monkey motherfuckers, evil albinoids, oh, it's wrong, or it was just an accident. I'm just so sick and tired of the racist hypocrisy in this nation. That's why I want to get out of this fucking nation known as AmeriKKKa, because it's just fucking, this country is blatantly racist and has biased views against different, whether you are male or female, straight or gay, or whether you are so-called white or black. You got these biases and these double standards, and it's fucking wrong as fuck. So America, stop giving these Caucasian thugs, male or female thugs, a fucking pass when they do dirt. Stop protecting them and stop rationalizing. Bottom line, stop rationalizing the shit, because you don't do it when people of color, non-Caucasian people, commit crimes or are accused of crimes. Now to address something before I close out, you know, they always say so-called black people are anti-police. No, we're not anti-police. We're anti-crooked police. We're anti-government corruption, just like Caucasian people are anti-crooked police. When Caucasian people are victims of crooked cops, oh, everybody wants to protest and protest and shit. There's a lot of it's obviously that's a lot of Caucasian males are anti-police, but the media don't talk about it. When they when they kill cops like this guy did, and these other guys, like this person, and you just look down the line, like these thugs, you know. See, this what it just boils down to. See, that's like I said in my last video when I did it. Cops are the reality is. See, when Caucasians are victims of police brutality, they talk about how the majority of the police force is corrupt and evil, and we need to do something. But when it happens to people of color, oh, we are the bad guys. It's our fucking fault. Rather we did something good, rather we are right or in the fucking wrong. It don't fucking matter. And it doesn't matter how nice you are. They say, oh, you're not compliant. Well, obviously I showed you that a lot of Caucasian people are not compliant with cops. And you talk about, oh, because they have rights. Well, what about our fucking rights as people of color in this fucking nation? We built this nation. They didn't. You see the double standards. So to dear Caucasian people in the media, shut the fuck up with your racist double standards. You know, because obviously this guy was not compliant, and those other guys were not fucking compliant to the bullshit. So, bottom line is, check yourself. Stop criticizing us and telling us how we should protest and how we should behave, and stop questioning so-called black people's patriotism when you motherfuckers don't have no fucking patriotism. You guys are a bunch of fucking hypocrites and a bunch of fucking liars. And if you want to change that perception, change your ways. You know, and I'm not saying all Caucasian people are bad, but if you are a Caucasian person who's not racist and see through the bullshit and feel the same way I feel, you need to call out this racism and call out this fucking hypocrisy and these double standards, especially when you got Caucasian criminals, male or female, committing acts of violence and rape and other heinous crimes. You need to call the shit out and hold them accountable. But don't hold us accountable until you hold them accountable. Stop with your biased, double standard ways and stop being so fucking racist. I'm out. Peace.